Hello, friends. Welcome. Hey, Joanna. All right, really nice to see some faces on camera. My name's Anamaria, and I'm a workshopaholic. It's my sixth session today. I'm slowly losing it, but I'm okay to lose it in this one because this is mine. So it's my party, and I cry if I want to. Welcome, everyone. Head over to the chat, please. Tell me where in the world are you tuning in from? Is it morning, afternoon, very late for you? I hope not. I hope you're going to bed. Yes, afternoon. It's 4 for me as well. That's okay, Kevin. No need to, don't stress with the cameras. Feel free to keep them off as well. All right. Oh, I see Lila here. I have a surprise for her. Speaking of surprises, who here attended my session yesterday with Led by Community? Maybe, okay. So, anyone else? There's good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? Joking. The bad news is not bad news. Um, it's the same presentation. There we go. But the good news is that you're gonna just refresh it and you're gonna see if I rough it and I can add something and I can challenge myself to play with it a bit. Otherwise, yes, the session is being recorded, everyone. And so feel free to also come back to the recording. And also Catalina and Lila, if you're like, this is old story, I'm not gonna, I'll be fine if you leave the session. Anyway, welcome. My name is Anamaria. I am coming back home to Butter. This is one of the communities I've been building. It feels really strange to be in Zoom though. We're getting used to this feeling. We are celebrating the launch of our Butter Baby, Butter Scenes. It's a new tool which allows us to bring the butterness and smoothness of butter into Zoom and Teams and everywhere else where we're kind of forced to host our sessions. So we're playing a 24-hour festival, learning festival, and we've brought 40 experts in all sorts of fields, from facilitation to learning, collaboration, innovation, startups, etc. And I am going to quickly mute Sylvia. I think Sylvia. There we go. So I mentioned already we are recording the sessions. Let me keep the music. And if you want to be on camera, feel free to do so. I'll be happy to see some faces and get some visual input from the room. Otherwise, feel free to close it. That's also fine. This is going to land on YouTube. So you get to decide whether you want to be on or off. And I will share my screen in a second. First, I'm popping this link in the chat. Well, has anyone attended other sessions? I know I've seen Irene, Davin as well. We've launched Butter Scenes on Product Hunt. So if you could spread the love, that would be much appreciated. And other than that, I want to kick it off because time is precious and I like to talk a lot. So welcome to Scenes. Join me in Scenes. And we'll kick it off in a second. Is that my scenes? I hope so. Yes. Okay, the link is in the chat. Feel free to join me there, please. To mute. All right. Yes, fantastic. Okay, see everyone in. Let me share my screen and see how I will arrange my screens today. Okay, I think I got that. Let me pull out the chat. Fantastic. So feel free to drop questions in the chat as well. Put out a participants list. Okay. All right, cool stuff. Here we go. This is me. I am a founder of L&D Shakers. It's the project that brought me into the world of community building. And also it is the community that I'll be using today to exemplify my my thoughts. I'm sorry, I'm just rearranging your faces so that I see you. Yeah, it's different when you had everything in Butter and now you kind of have to work with so many little screens all over the place. And I am running my own business now since March. It's been very exciting. I am learning tons still. I am a learning and community consultant, and I get to work with a lot of organizations to support them in their community building journey, which is really fun. I get to practice what I've learned so far and also add knowledge to my repertoire. Okay, I found this the other day somewhere on Instagram, and I thought it's so cool. On a scale of a medieval dragon, what is the energy you bring to the room today? You should be able to just click on one of these little dragons here. They are medieval. I have not drawn them, although my drawing or painting skills are not far away from these. So these are the ways that different dragons are showing up in medieval paintings. Fun times. All right. Okay, we have all sorts of dragons here, I see. Definitely in today's dragon. Okay, that's okay. I'll keep on sharing the link in the chat. I think I'm feeling rather number 5, I think gives me a good vibe of kind of like, I don't know, I'm looking back, I'm reflecting. Cool. I thought this is fun. Well, basically, Butter Scenes allows us to bring in these types of fun check-ins, and I'm telling you, they do spice up a virtual workshop. So for your community, feel free to use them and play with them as well. Curiosity. What community are you building? And am I making these? No. All right. What communities are you building? I have built 3 communities from scratch. The first one was a train the trainers community within Ace and Tate, the company I used to work as a learning and development manager. Then I've built Ali Shakers, and then I built the Butter community. And they're all awesome and fantastic. Tutorials here, a learning community, wisdom council, freelance, facilitators, the Butter community. Hey, Chris. Inclusive theater, career development, learning, change management, train the trainer. Yay, Casey. Okay, product. All right, so I think I see a lot of communities of practice, communities for learning, communities of peers, change. So I do hope that some of the tips or insights that I'm bringing will be transferable, relevant to your context. And we are talking about co-creation today. And it is one of my favorite ways to show up in a community as a member personally, and also as a community lead. It's also my favorite ways to flex with the community value. And the question I have, the curiosity, is whether you are already co-creating with your community, or if you are currently trying, but you're stuck. Tell us what's the challenge. Or if it's not yet, what is stopping you? And you can just hover and place yourself in one of the 3 boxes. And then a little sticky note will pop where you can add your thoughts and tell us. And then you click add note. Butter Scenes. Chris is co-creating Butter Scenes with his community. A mentoring program. You can also move the sticky notes away if you kind of popped on top of someone else. Inconsistent time, need to find the right home for it. All right. Brave spaces. Nice. I can see them also in a, you're now seeing my facilitator screen. So you're gonna see all of the things, bits and pieces in the back. And so I can also just spotlight longs, lack of time, Different sessions are facilitated by different co-facilitators, brave spaces. Yes, pretty cool. I like that. I can also kind of stay fun thing. All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. And Brett, I see you in the chat. Let me quickly have a look. Yes. Okay, Irene, thank you very much. If you could be my co-facilitator, pop in the link in the chat every now and then. I appreciate that. I love it. Okay, Brett, you have the link in the chat. Fantastic. Cool. What is co-creation? We're going to talk about this, and I brought a definition. It's not the only definition. It is how I interpret it. So what I'm looking for here is not the definition from the dictionary. I'm looking for your interpretation of what co-creation is and feels like. And you'll have a sticky note at the bottom that you can, and I'll just add skip. And we're seeing that all of our insights coming in. Thank you for joining, everyone. In the chat every now and then. Can't retrieve. Yes, Joanna, once something comes on top of it, if you can't click it, then it's a bit challenging. All right, let's have a look at some of these. We have combining diverse perspective, share and use everyone's knowledge to build something. Yes, emphasis on building or creating, working together, desired outcome, equity, take their input seriously, do it, repeat, Kevin, yes. Find a common voice, different traits of team members. Fantastic. Now, Scene saves all these answers, and so we are going to make the links known to you so you can go back to them and get inspiration. Making stuff together, Breck. I think that's the way I like to always explain co-creation. You're building things together. Thank you very much. And the poll. Okay, so this is my personal definition. Co-creation is a form of collaborative innovation where ideas you have and different people have are shared in the common room and they're improved together rather than kept to oneself. So it's a form of collaborative innovation. You're putting them to the pot. And I can guarantee, at least for me, that's what it happened all the time. That's why I default to collaboration and co-creation. Every time I took the time to co-create, the output and the result was better than what I initially had imagined individually as a person. And it's about bringing things into being. Just that sticky note, we're creating things. It's about that. We're bringing things into being together, and we dream out something that wasn't there before, and we make it happen. And we do that together. And so co-creation usually starts with an insight, an idea, but for me and what I see in the communities that I lead, it mainly starts with a need, a pain point, something that majority of us struggle with. And then it's where we come together to dream up what that potential solution is, and we're waving that solution together, Anya says in the chat. So it's exactly that. We're even opening it up to what the potential solution can look like. There we go. So why should we care about co-creation? And this is the piece of theory. And again, this is something I kind of instinctively, I think I knew because I feel like personally, that's my default to ask people to build together with. I always find that in brainstorming, I am smarter, and that's my personal default. But as I moved along and I realized that, oh, not everyone defaults to co-creation or collaboration, and it is also hard. I also noticed a difference in between the communities or the groups that are co-creating and those that are not. And so I went on and I started researching. I started building communities intuitively. And after I stumbled into it, and actually, well, Chris is now here, so he's gonna hear. It's not a secret though, Chris. when I joined the Butter team, I was like, oh my God, imposter syndrome. They're going to find out that I don't have any clue of what I'm doing. And I've been building this kind of, by the ear. And I went on and I took all the courses that I could find from all the people that I can possibly imagine. And I realized that so little of it was aligned to what my vision of building community. And then I went and I researched. And so here's why I think that we should be care about co-creation, is because we care about engagement. I want to see a thumbs up or a hell yeah in the chat if you care about engagement in your community. Is this on your mind? Are you thinking about it? You're working on it. It's kind of like on your to-do list. Yes, I mean, that's what we get paid for. That's why there are community builders. We care about engagement. That's why we're the stewards. So let's talk a bit about this engagement. I struggled so much with engagement when I first started to think about this. Interested in what we mean, Joanna? Absolutely. Great point in the chat. Feel free, everyone, to kind of pop in. What do you understand by engagement? I'm going to explain my view in a second. So there's always this questions that keep on coming. My community is not engaged. My community is dormant. We have a lot of lurkers. There is no engagement, no engagement. We need an engagement strategy. We need an engagement plan, etc. And for me, that was always really hard, because every time I was asking myself the question, oh, how can we get more engagement? The ideas that were coming and the things I've tried weren't really leading to more engagement. So there was a mismatch there. And something changed the moment I replaced the word engagement with value. And I started rephrasing that. How can we create more engagement? Would immediately automatically mean, how can we create more value? We need an engagement plan. We need to bring out more value or create different value streams. We need an engagement strategy. We need to talk to our members and find out what's important, and we need to put that into our roadmap, etc. And there are two sources of content that I have found that have helped me tremendously to think about this overlap or intersection in between members, their journey, where they are in the community as they're in their community life, and also their level of participation and implicitly engagement. And those two models clicked in my head at a specific moment, and they kind of overlapped very nicely. And I'm gonna briefly go through them today. It's the commitment curve by Connor and Patterson from 82. This is a change management tool. And then it is the Macmillan and Chavez famous study of how do we create a sense of community from 86. And I found that they overlap beautifully together. And it explained immediately why co-creation is such a powerful tool for engagement. Now, this graph that you're seeing, the X time axis and the Y commitment axis, that's our community, right? That's your community. And before anyone joins the community, our role as community stewards or community itself or your members, your ambassadors, we're creating a sense of curiosity. We really want people to learn that this community exists, and we want them to feel curious enough for them to take the first step and join the community. So that first step it looks different from community to community. L&D Shakers, it's a free community, so we advertise all of our posts, and you don't have to be part of the forum in order to attend events and be part of the community. And so we can talk about that if that's interesting. And by the way, if there's any type of questions, doubts, insights, aha moments that surface as we go through the material, feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'm surfacing them at the end. So we create that sense of curiosity, and someone takes that first step and they join our community. And that's usually called the onboarding, and it looks different from community to community. It can be a personal message. It can be an onboarding cohort. It can be a monthly meetup you're doing with all the new joiners, etc. How do you make sure that you transmit the minimum information that people need in order to feel that they have arrived in a safe space that they feel that psychological safety to contribute and to show up inside a room full of strangers, which is what we are when you're joining a new space, a community. We want them to, whatever it is they see through that onboarding phase, our goal is to have people say, wow, it's like coming back home. These are my people. And I definitely empathize and sympathize with everything I hear. And there are so many beats and pieces that are relevant to me. Why that this is relevant to me, that is the value. That's the value that we want to create during onboarding. Now, if I find something that I think, oh, this is interesting, these are my people, this is an interesting event, I took something out of it that was inspirational, I'm going to come back next week or tomorrow or once a month, etc. So I'm going to return because this is a space where I found something that was useful to me. Granted, everyone joins a community for different motivations, but we need to make sure that there is enough bits and pieces, puzzle pieces for everyone to find something that's of relevance. If they don't, that's not a problem. We are not for everyone. Not every community is for everyone. That's fine. But if this is a person that you are trying to attract and this is the space for your community, then that's what happens in the onboarding. And so then they start observing and they look around and they probably meet people and maybe they attend an event or probably they read a newsletter or a blog post or they ask a question or they reply a question or they find a cool article, whatever it is. And slowly we move them through this time axis up the commitment level. So to onboard and observe is different than to participate. To participants means I am actually taking time, blocking time in my calendar, in my agenda to participate. Participate means I can attend an event or I can book a one-to-one coffee chat with a community member. I take the time to browse the forum and answer a question or ask a question or read an article I found there. So that's the participation. Our role as stewards is to create a sense of emotional connection. And Emily Weber says communities are people bumping heads, people coming together it can be online or it can be offline. The space doesn't matter as long as they are talking heads. They can talk to one another, they can unmute, they can chat, they can collaborate, etc. That's where you create this shared emotional connection. And Macmillan and Chavez describe this in a very intricate kind of formula, what that means. But boiled down is whenever we bring members together, there has to be this contact first. So they need to see each other. And second of all, there has to be a high quality interaction in order to create a shared emotional connection. And that's the participation. The more I participate, because I take value and I see value out of it, the more I participate, chances are the shared emotional connection, it becomes higher and higher. And I start to feel that I belong here. So this is this feeling of I belong here. I'm taking a lot out of it. I want to give back. I am ready to give back and contribute. And then some people move along in time and then on the commitment and they commit to more. And that is this contribution. Contribution is where a community member wants, is motivated, and also is allowed and feels that has the space to raise a hand and say, I want to start something. I want to host an event. I want to help you out with this thing. I want to give feedback. I want to share resources. I want to mentor others, etc. Our role as stewards is to cheer for every single contribution that comes inside the community, and not only us, to create spaces where members can cheer for each other's contributions in order to create a sense of reward and acknowledgement. If I keep adding and doing and contributing and I feel not appreciated, I feel that no one sees that, chances are that after a while I'll stop doing it. And now if you're super lucky and it's a handful of people that eventually in time and after committing, they feel this sense of emotional connection, identification, belonging, they feel rewarded and acknowledged, and they're passing the so-called commitment threshold, and they're moving towards the center of the community in the core team or in your ambassadors or however you want to call it. Every community has a different name for this. In Al Nishikas, it's called the core team, and it's the same in Butter.
And these are the people that take the lead. So I am the person that always leads the monthly networking sessions. I am the person that always leads something else. Yes, we have a question from Tudor. Also okay if that was by mistake. Okay. Yes, Joanna, I'll put the communities in the chat in a second. So this leading sense of empowerment and influence, there's very few people that do that because this is the highest commitment. Commitment in here, we know that because we are actively part of a community, we're leading a community. It's energy, it's creativity. These are my idea. This is my time that I spend leading and committing to something that is not my work maybe, or it's not my family and not my friends and on my free time and so on. So this is hard work. That's why so many people, so few people are doing it. So here is the commitment curve. And I'm going to come back to this point in a second, but I am just curious to know, and we're going to do a little plot yourself on the map. If you were to plot your community as it is right now, generally, and I know that some people are in onboarding, participation, leading, where would you place it? Like here to, ballpark, I think my community, we're doing really well. We have a very strong lead team, etc. I'm putting it here. I'm going to place myself here because I think L&D Shaker really is maybe somewhere here. It's a very committed community, and our core team is over 50 people, about 60 people. And if we count our coaches and our mentors, we're about 100 people that kind of we've put our gifts and energy to this space. Yes, we do get the recordings, Sylvia. They're going to be posted on YouTube. Correct. You have individuals, Joanna, but if you were to think for you as a community steward, or you're like, okay, I think I am happy. Like for me, if I look at this, I wouldn't know where to go in terms of the leading. More people, sure. But everything else that leads to that, it's already put in place for L&D Shakers. So if you're just starting, obviously you would be somewhere at the bottom of the queue. Sweet. So here how this plays out into engagement. Engagement very often, and Joanna asked, how do we describe engagement? And I think very often what people say is that engagement is you see people, it's visible, right? How many people attend sessions? How many people host sessions? How many members ask questions? How many members reply to questions? How many resources are there shared? How many people open the newsletter? How many people read the blog? How many blah, 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 all of these things, right? And these are the KPIs, the numbers, the things we track, the things we see. And that's usually how we describe engagement. I'm going to make a parenthesis there and say that that is not always true because for us, that's engagement and that's what we see and that's what we can measure. But for our members, engagement means what is the value I take out of it? And some members want to lead and other members will want to participate or observe forever. That's the value. That's what they expect. They never join your community to lead or to contribute and to be put on the spot. Again, remember, that requires a high level of commitment to do so. So this is what we want. We want contribution and leading, and we want people to kind of make the space their own and raise their hand and etc. But very often, what we optimize for, or what we hold space for, or the opportunities we create for our members, fall somewhere in the observation and participation curve. So before I explain why I think so, I'm going to open up here and hear some voices in the room. How does this land? What does this make you think? Art, I see you unmuted. If you want to talk, feel free to just unmute, or if you're raising your hand, I can't see that here. Maybe, I don't know. Yes. Jonathan.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. You have to unmute now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So my initial thought was that the size of the bubbles might mean something about the population distribution. And,
No.
and so that was how I was looking at it at the beginning. But just in terms of population distribution in a given community, my guess is
It's
most
the other way around.
are the other way around. Yes.
Yes. I never thought about this. So and now you say this, I'm thinking, of course, like on a graph, dots mean quantity. No, my brain hasn't landed there. But yes, you're right. So the biggest bubble would be initially observing and participating, and then it turns smaller, smaller as you go up the curve. I'm gonna update this. This was cool. Thanks very much, Jonathan.
Yes.
It's like, aha moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Isa.
Thank you. Yeah, so something I've noticed, and thank you for this graph. I think it's really well done. What I've noticed is that in-person events or co-creation events or sessions, usually people tend to contribute and lead, but the online sessions, that makes it harder. And I think people stay in the sort of lower areas. So how to make, you know, that transition to contribution and leading online, and also in the in-person, like how do we move people from contribute to leading?
Isa, if you were to say, like, just have a hunch why that is, what would you say? And the same question for everyone else in the room.
I guess it's uncomfortable to make, I mean, as a participant, it might be uncomfortable to go through the transitions, and yeah, so maybe a little bit of you know, yeah, discomfort or sort of taking a leap of faith in a way.
So anyone else had thank you so much, Isa. Anyone else had anything to add to this piece, why we sometimes feel like offline is easier than online when it comes to engagement and participation and people kind of raising their hand, etc., and being visible? Joanna?
I think it's easier in a room to create a safer space at the beginning. So you have an ability to take that time, and it's usually fewer people to create a safe space. And there's the physical presence as well, which does that, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't know what's going on online quite.
Yes.
Can never be quite completely safe unless it's a few people and you can see everybody and you've built some kind of contract together. I think that's important, actually, that bit you said about creating a safe space and how you do that, how you contract in with the group in some form or other.
Yes.
Mutually.
Yes. Thank you, Joanna. Amy, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I think also, excuse me, not only is it a safe space, I think that's very important, but it's also one that has a common goal. There has to be a common goal. There has to be a transition piece where they're coming in looking for some kind of transition to be made. And then and you're going to take them on a pathway to actually get to that goal. And whether it's in 4 months, 5 months, they're going to be able to run a marathon, whatever the goal is, you're going to be taking them on that pathway. And through community, when they have that common bond, that's where they start to participate more and contribute more, because they're finding people with common interest. Yeah. So that's what I have found. And I think it works well. And if we keep it talking about that pathway, that's where we kind of get really good engagement.
Yes. I think, thank you very much, Amy. That was spot on, as well as John. Everything you said is absolutely true, because there's so many facets here. I have made the experience of building community first offline, then moved online, built community online directly and has never gone offline, and communities that are online then go offline, and everything in between. And I realized that in terms of participation in a set moment, meaning this is an event and people are not talking, facilitation plays a crucial role there. And true facilitation is that, how do I open up the session? Is there clarity around why are we meeting? And that's not, it's very similar to everything we're doing, whether that's a meeting or whether that's inside the community or at work. If we don't have those facilitative and there's this purpose of why are we meeting, or this transformation, what are you going to get out of it? What's in it for you? Then it's very hard to engage. And to that point, I have seen communities online going through that curve much faster than communities offline. And the difference was not the fact that people were not talking in, because that's good participation. If I were to go here, this is good participation when someone creates something. However, you can have a beautiful participative offline community and still have a blocker somewhere here for folks don't contribute, actively taking things in their own hands. Okay. And I think in that case, it for me, from where I'm standing, it ties into something else. And I'm going to talk about those things in a second as well. Thank you very much. So here's what this participation does. The way I build communities at the beginning and the way I see everyone I work with at the moment starts to build communities is to start with expert webinars. It doesn't matter if they're online, offline, boot camps, co-working, boot clubs, conferences, expert web. And this is beautiful because it's better than starting with a forum and then asking yourself why there's no engagement in the forum, right? Forum comes after. First, people need to bump heads. Remember, we need to bump heads. I need to see you smile at my joke or not smile at my joke. I need for you to see if I say something, do you get emotional? Does it hit you? Are you nodding? Like, I need to feel like we're connecting, we're gelling, we're humans. Who are these people? And so this is good, but this is very much participatory. These are all events. Events means there's something that someone creates, and then we are invited to participate to the event, just like today. You're all my guests today, and I'm the host to this event, right? And so you're invited to participate because there's polls and chat, and I ask you things, and you're participating. But how do we move this along? Because let's pretend that this is a community. So this is our kickoff. I'm starting a community. Now we're all starting a community. And next week, there's another event that I host, and then you're also participating and you get good ideas, etc. At which point we cross the threshold where one of you says, I'm going to host the next one. Like that's the question. Like, how do we make that transition for someone to say, I want to host the next one, or I have an idea. How about we put a program that's a mentoring program? So it's not one-to-many like we're doing now, many-to-many. It's just one-to-one. That's the thing that we want to go for. And so it's participatory because we host it for them. And what co-creation does by the rules of the game, in order, like true co-creation, the way this game is played, it's actually inviting and breaking the barrier from participation through to leading and to ownership and to creation by design. We don't have to do anything. It's by design. Co-creation breaks that barrier. We come together over an extended period of time. It is participatory, it's collaborative. We have to roll up our sleeves and do things. We build stronger relationship because we need to tackle challenges. Co-creation is hard. You disagree. You don't know what you're talking about. It takes a long time to land on the same page, especially with strangers. But you learn by doing. You build competencies. You build confidence. The more you do and you see yourself, oh, I'm doing it. I'm getting it. We're making progress. We're creating something. You get to influence the outcome. Whatever it is these people are co-creating, your community, this group, it's theirs. They get to put a valuable artifact into the world. Usually co-creation leads to something. You're creating something. And it has their name on it. And other people get to use that value. They also build a portfolio or a thought leadership. And so if I were to take that as this co-creation enables value creation for each other. Members enable it for each other. Creation is one person or a group of people create things for others to sponge on. Co-creation is a group of people. We all create and sponge in between each other. And if we don't create and sponge and don't bump heads, nothing gets done. We don't reach our goal. We don't reach our purpose. So let's see some examples super fast. This is a learning strategy blueprint that Alexandra Ranke started in Alani Shakers. It started with a post. She asked the community, I have to do my yearly L&D strategy. There's so many resources out there. I don't know where to start. There's so many people, a super long thread of people, me too, me too, me too, me too. And then she said, okay, let's do a workshop and see what happens. And so that workshop turned into an 8-month co-creation project for over 26 people, community members, where they've built this mural board and they kind of made sense together and they put this artifact into the world so that every single time in September, October, November, about now, L&D sit at their desk to build their strategy, they have a resource to latch onto. The second piece is it's a research project that was led by Larissa and Adam from Make Team Work together with the community. The question here was simple. We want to narrow down the 3 main topics and challenges and things that's on people's to-do list for small L&D teams in startups. And so they made a call to action to the community, gathered, rallied a team around that ideal or that challenge, that scope. They've done interviews, they've done surveys, they've done several workshops. They narrowed down on the 3 challenges, and then they've done a crowdsourcing of solution resources for those challenges. And so if you're an L&D in a startup and you're most likely facing one of these challenges, you can go to this Padlet board and find solutions and ideas from others. And lastly, this is the one we've launched this week. Judith and Grace came together and said, hey, Anamaria, we really see there's a lot of people that are either looking to break into our industry or they are in between changing jobs at the moment. And so we want to create a career bootcamp. And the way to do that is we're going to launch a survey and ask these people, what are you struggling with? We take the data, we crunch it, and we see what we need to create. We do a second call to action with the things we need, workshops, someone to review CVs, someone to, you can actually do a run interview with, etc. in the community, and we source the experts that we have inside. And then we put together this month-long series of events that any L&D out there can attend to kind of support them through that process. And these are all beautiful co-creation projects that I am amazed. They take a lot of time and effort, but they do rally a community together. And so everyone here is at that top level. All right. Now that we've had these examples and the curve and everything, go back to your context, go back to your community. And I'm curious to know, what could your community explore co-creating in the future? Some of you are experimenting with it, others are on the journey, others are just thinking about it. Based on the purpose, the value, the people you have, what could you co-create? And you can just click on add note and then add your thoughts and click add note. Or do that from here as well. What are some of the things that your community could co-create? Pop the link of scenes in the chat as well. I don't know if you attended Will Rowe's earlier session. I think Joanna was there because I remember your contribution. I took a note of what he said because I thought that was really neat. I'm just pop it in the chat for you all. He described community as a call to adventure, plus belonging and safe space, plus ownership, plus vibes. And I thought that's so cool. I just leave that with you. Okay. Co-creating how facilitation would look like in Africa in the future, Irena. Sparking fresh ideas, hearing all voices, co-creating our agreed purpose and value. Esther, yes. I did that with L&D Shakers as well. It was beautiful and it helped a lot. And with the Butter community, we did the same through a series of 3 mad workshops. Create standard operating procedures, rethink the student journey together with them. Short learning nugget session about being a host. All right, I'm gonna leave this on for a second. I have a few tips. I'm looking at the clock and I wanna know if we're using the rest of the time, but rather for questions or curiosity. So I wanna open that up. Feel free to just raise your hand on our queue up here. And if there are no questions, then I'm going to get to my tips. But otherwise, let's bounce some ideas. Let's get to the tips. Okay. Okay. Cool. Perfect. All right. So here are the tips. Stefan is okay. No, Stefan, sorry. Moving us over. Here are some of the tips that I have learned. Some of them the hard way, and it was very painful, but growth is painful, and so that's good. The first question, whenever we talk about co-creation and moving people down that path, that curve, are you ready to distribute control? Are you ready to give up control? And I had several mentoring sessions with people who are like, how is L&D Shakers so active, and how are you doing it? What's the secret sauce? And then you go and you tell them, and they're like, no, but I don't want that. I'm not ready. Because then, so how do you control the quality of the output? I'm like, there's no such thing. Like when you live it up to the people to create things, they decide what value is, and they decide what the quality is. And so if you're not ready to do that, then you're kind of like, no, but it should look like this and it should be like that. Then it's not going to work. And how I know that is because in L&D Shakers, I made this mistake, and the team that took over the book club from me back in the day, I onboarded them into the process, and then I was looking over their shoulders for every single little thing they were doing. This has to be a bit more blue. This needs to be a bit more clear. Maybe you could rephrase this like that, and maybe you could do this like that. And I can tell you that it only took 2 or 3 times for me to do that, because the person came back to me and said, is this mine or is this yours? Because it sounds to me like you want to do it, and I have a different vision for it. Or are you willing to let my vision unfold and let go of your vision? And that was a bucket of cold water. And I said, wow, thank you, appreciate it, yours. That's the first question. Are you ready to distribute control? Communicate expectations. What I mean by this is, and maybe this is probably not the best wording here, but what I mean is, is it clear for everyone inside your community that this is a co-create, that they are allowed to go upwards on that path? They're allowed to contribute, and they're allowed to lead. Because not a lot of communities do that. We are so accustomed to the sponge model from schools and universities, and then jobs, where we're fed learning and we're fed experiences. And so people need to know that you can take things in your own hand. And so what we do is, even before they join, do they know what type of community is your community? And for L&D Shakers, everywhere on social media, etc., we spotlight different people. So you do see that the community is driven by more than a person or 5 or 10. It's actually driven by 60 people. In the welcome message, we tell every single new member, this is a co-creator space. You can make this your own learning playground. You can run your projects. You can create things. You can host events, etc. And we also add it into the values. Plaster it wherever you can, all over the place. It's co-created. Take space, take a piece of it and make it your own, okay? Clear roles, expectations of time, energy, and commitment. Usually for me, all of the co-creation projects, everything that happens in the upper side of the curve starts with a call to action of some sort. It starts with an idea that someone has, but almost immediately the next step, if you want to go into co-creation, is to do a call to action. And to do that call to action, you have to have very clear expectations, to set the expectation, especially for time and energy commitment. Because very often, you don't want people to get caught by surprise. You don't want them to think that it's something that they dedicate 2 hours to, and then at the end of the month is like, it takes over their life, right? So just make sure that those are clearly communicated. Nurture a culture of gratitude for the contributors. I cannot stress this enough. Is someone hosting a session? Do that. Is someone always in Slack or in the forum, wherever you're hosting your community, answering questions? Rewards that. I'm not necessarily talking about points and leaderboards and gamification. I'm talking about a kudos, a spotlight, a tag, swag. If you're building it within an organization, can you give them access to leadership? Can you give them access to decision making? How do you make these roles and these contributors? How do you spotlight them? This it's a very human thing to do. And the moment I contribute, automatically I expect to be rewarded, because that reward showcases that was valuable. If I don't hear anything back, I might leave with the impression that no one cared, that was not valuable, and so I'm not going to do it again, right? So that reward is often how we showcase, hey, good job, that was good, that was valuable, here's the kudos for you, I took so much, thank you very much, okay? And so that I take that and I'm like, this feels so good, I'm useful to someone, I'm going to show up again. Okay, because we want to be useful. We want to add and put our gifts into the world. So let's cheer for them. This does a kind of a side effect of this is this culture of co-creation. If L&D Shakers was not this madness of core team from the beginning, and we did something very simple. We started with an expert webinar session. That was how we started. And I was running them. So I was searching hosts, etc., etc., etc. And this potentially takes me to, well, no, it's later on. But I'm going to make a link to one of the other tips. And I started running the events. And every time I was running it, I was improving on it. Oh, can I approach the host better? Can I give them feedback better? Can I facilitate better? Can I promote this better? Can I whatever? And as I was learning, I was documenting everything. And so I've run this 5 or 6 times and I was like, okay, I got it. I'm bored. There's nothing to learn here. And this is what I've learned. I passed that ball to the community. And so I created a role and I said, hi friends, we're creating a new role. It's our first role. It's a leadership role of the community. And it's called Thought Lab Event Catalyst. This is what you have to do. It takes you this time, this hour, document this, take it away. And so someone takes it. I move on to the playground. I run it. I leave it. I document, I leave it to someone. I always call this, I put this out for adoption for someone in the community. Who wants to adopt this event? Who wants to adopt this project and keep growing it? Now, as they take that, I go on and I spotlight them. Oh, Joanna, you were so good. You're the one that kind of keeps our thought labs alive. Wonderful, very, very well. The moment I started to do that with 2 or 3 people, as we keep on growing and expanding, people that are joining, they're like, wait a minute, Valeria is cheered on because she's doing this, and Joanna is doing that, and there's someone doing this. And so, can I do things here? Like, can I be of service here? And so a lot of the people come to me, and very often, they say, I want to do something for L&D Shakers, I just don't know what. And I'm like, don't worry, I have a list of things that we could do around here, and then we brainstorm. The community becomes a co-creation platform. They can bring their ideas to life. It's not even a tip. It's almost a effect of that. Document as you build and start creating processes when applicable, because this will help you grow. You need that in order to distribute and grow. It's gonna be a pain in the ass if not. And never forget, it's all about the value you are creating together. Bottom line is this of value? How do we know that? Talk to your members, survey your members, have feedback loops. And very often when we are testing a new idea, before we even start building anything, we put a post in the community. Hey, we're thinking about this. Is this cool or not? Is this useful or not? Do we need this or no? And sometimes there were ideas that were not needed. And so we dropped them. Okay. Last thing here. Well, maybe I'll stop, as I just looked at the time. And I want to open up for 1 or 2 questions here, if there's anything left that needs to be shared. Any ideas, thoughts? Looking at the chat as well.
I have a quick thought.
Yes.
So I kind of built my community a little bit backwards. So I started with referral partners that I had created with my business, and started to talk to them about collaborating on a community, and sold it to them as a value add to their offerings, their business offerings. So what's happening now is, so I built my ambassadors first to bring content in here, and now they're bringing their clients in here. So we're building the community with my referral partners, bringing their clients in as a value add to their offerings that they are giving to their clients as coaches and consultants and the like. So I did it a little backwards, but it seems to be working. And I thought maybe circles of influence for folks to find, or they could collaborate those to bring people in at the beginning to start that participation off with a real big, massive launch might be helpful.
Yes. Thank you very much, Amy. That's a great, it's very similar to the way we've launched the butter community. Was very different to compared to the way I launched back then L&D Shakers, but also because the intention was different and we were building two different things with two different purposes, let's say. And so I think that's an important piece. Your drive and your motivation and the purpose will help influence some of those decisions you're taking. So not good or bad. It works for some community brilliantly, and it doesn't work for others because it's the culture you're trying to create, the community you're trying to create, the value you're trying to create, etc. So thank you for that. It's probably useful for some people here. Joanna. Curious about the mix between co-creation, leadership roles, and how to flatten perceived hierarchies. Feels like a co-op taking turns. Okay, I'm not sure if I get it, but the way we do, so in my experience, always we detach the person from the role. We have the roles and we know in this community, we have 5 recurring events. They all have different formats. We have a mentoring program, we have a coaching program, we have whatever program, and these deliver X value. We have a value ecosystem of things. And now they're led by XYZ people, Anamaria, Joanna, Amy, etc. If they cannot at a certain point, because our lives come in the way, our health, our kids, etc., they can always drop the ball, we say, and we pass the ball back to the community. And so you're not there forever. And actually people do, and they sometimes move between projects. I've led this event for half a year. I now want to lead the coaching program. I now want to do the other thing. I don't want to lead anything. So we separate the people from the roles. And so it's almost as if, you're constantly refreshing those things based on people and their motivation. Okay, I'm curious to see if Lizzie is in the room for the next session. Lizzie, are you here?
I'm here. Hello.
Yay! All right. Okay, friends. So here's where I'll say goodbye because in 3 minutes we start with Lizzie. We are in the same session and it's also about community. So maybe you guys want to hang around. I don't know. We're going to be in the same room. Thank you very much for spending an hour with me. There are other sessions in case you want to jump out now. It's the moment. Otherwise, Lizzie, let me give you the co-host rights.